Well, I missed yesterday, so we'll try to make up for it today. In the last video, excuse me, we talked about Satan, Lucifer, and Caligastia. Lucifer was a system sovereign. That means that he was in charge of 619 planets in the system that we live in. The system that we live in is called Satania. Satan was his assistant. So the two of them were in charge of all 619 inhabited planets in our system. Our planet was actually called Urantia. It was called Urantia long before any life existed on our planet. And then there was another figure by the name of Caligastia. Caligastia is who you know as the devil. So Lucifer, Satan, and Caligastia are Lananadek sons. Lucifer and Satan are Lananadek sons, and Caligastia's secondary Lananadek sons. Angels are classed in, they're put in classes as they are created. Lananadek sons and secondary Lananadek sons are responsible for administration duties, similar to a president who takes care of a country. That's their duties. And they were very honored, they were very well spoken of. And so the story starts with Caligastia. Caligastia always wanted to be a planetary prince. A planetary prince is sent to a planet who has, in which life is on it. And usually when intelligent life, that intelligent life means life that is able to decide right from wrong and able to make decisions as to where they want to go and what they want to do, in contrast to animals that are only interested in eating and protecting themselves. So when life was established here on Earth, or Urantia, they should have sent a planetary prince the minute we had intelligent life. But life on this planet was here for right around 1 million years before they sent a planetary prince. And so Caligastia had been turned down several times in his request to be a planetary prince, and this time when he applied, they sent him here to Earth, or Urantia, as the first planetary prince. And a planetary prince brings with them a whole host of different types of angels to help them run the planet. The purpose of a planetary prince and his myriads of angels that are brought down is to help the planet advance. And even though you can't see them, they work behind the scenes, you know, kind of sort of prodding us along. Caligastia brought with him 100 volunteers from heavenly Jerusalem. These volunteers were from other planets, and they volunteered to come down to help Caligastia. There were 50 males and 50 females. And they were brought down by Seraph transport. And there were bodies made from the Andon stock, or they were called Andon people here on Earth here. And they were the best of the people that were here. And they took and made bodies for these 100 volunteers. And so it took about 10 days to transfer, because these were angels, and so they transferred the angels to the bodies that they had made here so that they could be visible to the population. So there was actually 100 volunteers, again 50 males and 50 females, and their job was to help the population go from hunters to farmers. They were to teach them how to grow, hygiene, about God and His organization, and these 100 volunteers, you know, as the mighty men of old, because they were half human and half angel. And because they were half human and half angel, they had to have the tree of life brought down to the planet. And in order for them to maintain their immortality, they had to eat from the tree of life. That was important to them. Very important, because without that tree of life, they would eventually die. And that is an important point to establish. So, I think that's enough information for today, because that's kind of sort of a lot to absorb. But they were also called the Nephilim, the mighty men of old, the Nephilim. Also the fallen angels. But they hadn't fallen yet, and Caligastia and his contingency of angels, along with them called Melchizedek, joined them. And if you remember correctly, Melchizedek is mentioned in the Bible. He's a king priest. And I touched on him briefly, but we'll hear more of him later on. But for now, maybe you'd want to review this a little more. And I know this is a lot to to take in. But the Bible doesn't explain all of this. And it took a lot of years of research to find all this information. You can find it in the book of Urantia, which is written by angels. So, with that, we'll talk a little bit tomorrow.